So good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome all of you to this session, Explore Engineering with Toronto Metropolitan University, Canada. And I would like to welcome Ms. Heather Gardner. She is the Engineering Admission Officer, and Ms. Deepa Dodani. She's a Regional Recruitment Representative in India here. And I would also like to welcome all the students and the counselors who have joined us today. I know it's a Friday evening, it's a weekend for you, but you'll not regret joining this session. And I would like to now hand it over to Deepa. Please take it over from here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Almas, and thank you so much, ICAE, for having us. Welcome, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good morning, Heather. Thank you so much for joining us, too. My name is Deepa, and I'm pleased to be a host for today's session. Today, we're going to be talking about a lot of things. One, we're going to be talking about the great city in which this university is located, our amazing faculty and programs, notably our faculty of engineering, our student experience, and a little bit about how to apply and how to stay connected with us. Joining us today is Heather Gardner, who has over 17 years of experience within undergraduate admissions and student recruitment. She is going to be talking to you about our wonderful faculty of engineering. Heather, if you could please say hi.
Hi, everyone. Good evening and good morning from Toronto.
As many of you already know, we were previously Ryerson University. We underwent a name change in this past spring, and we're now Toronto Metropolitan University. It was imperative that we took action after a few situations came to light that involved our founder, Mr. Egerton Ryerson, and the Indigenous people of Canada. And so we decided that our new chapter ensure we maintain inclusivity and diversity, all the while honoring the legacy that we're built upon. And we're now Toronto Metropolitan University. I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge the land on which the university is located. Toronto, or Tekorano, as it is traditionally known, occupies the place that has been home to Indigenous people for over 15,000 years. So the dish with one spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabes, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunees, and this treaty binds them to share the territory and protect the land that we're on. To give you a quick snapshot of who we are, we're a mid-sized university with over 40,000 undergraduate students, and we've graduated over 200,000 alumni. Located in the heart of our country's biggest and most diverse city, we represent everything that is metropolitan. Toronto has been ranked one of the top 10 most livable cities in the world, according to The Economist, and one of the safest cities in the world, according to BBC. So no matter what program you choose to study at TMU, you're always going to bring the city into your studies in a number of different ways. A great example of this is the urban regional planning students who actually go to the city hall planning meetings and give input on things like the redesigning of the transit system or the redesigning of Toronto waterfront. To this tune, we have 6 undergraduate faculties and a faculty of law. Within this, we've got more than 60 plus undergraduate programs with 60 plus minors. We're also in the process of opening up a new medical school, which will be the first brand new medical school in Toronto in over 100 years. A little bit about your campus. We're a diverse campus with students from over 146 different countries. We've got over 50 plus buildings that are in a 10-minute walking radius and within close distance of many city landmarks and districts. So with leading industry companies that are in arm's reach away, we've successfully built and nurtured these relationships for students to be able to bring it all back into their studies. Coming to our faculties, I'm going to quickly take you through all of our faculties, but owing to time constraints, we're only going to be speaking about a few key programs from each faculty. Although I encourage you to look through our list of programs, and if you have any questions about them, feel free to put them in the chat box, and we will take them later after the presentation is over. First up is our Faculty of Arts. This faculty houses our liberal arts and our humanities programs. We've got programs like BA Psychology, where we have psych labs on campus, like a sleep disorder lab and a lab to treat anxiety. We also have an environment and urban sustainability program where students plant produce on one of our rooftop farms that is later used in our cafeterias or sold at the farmers market. Next is our Faculty of Community Services, which has programs that groom students to give back to the community that we're in and the society that we're in. These programs include programs like occupational health and safety, which is a one-of-a-kind program in Canada where students learn the importance of employing safety measures in various workplaces. Another popular program is our nursing program, which has mandatory clinical practicum hours for over 1,000 hours. We have stimulation cabs on campus where the students get real-world experience on how to deal with patients and are able to monitor our mannequins with ailments, which the students then get to work upon. We also have a couple of more programs within this. Faculty, feel free to go through the list and I'll be happy to answer questions about any that you may be interested in. Next up is our Faculty of Engineering and Architectural Sciences. I'm going to rely on Heather's expertise to tell us more about these programs that are housed in this faculty. Moving on to our Faculty of Sciences, no two guesses for which program is the most popular, especially here in India. We have a computer science program where students actually have created robots which have to dismantle a fake bomb that is stationed somewhere in campus as a part of their assignment. We also have a wonderful biology program which has 3 specializations. Here is where one of our students got to go on a coral reef dive as a part of the program assessing health of the coral reefs in Mexico. Coming to TRSM. So the Ted Rogers School of Management is Canada's largest undergraduate management school. Our business management is a popular program with specializations like human resources, marketing, economics, managerial sciences. It also has a law and business specialization where students can work in our legal clinic on campus under actual practicing lawyers. Another really popular program is accounting and finance. I know this is popular amongst a lot of Indian students. Here's where our students have access to $500,000 from our student investment fund, which is then used by them to do real-time investments to understand how the stock market works. We also have a business technology program, business technology management program, which combines both computer sciences and business. And then lastly, there's a creative school, which is my favorite, my second favorite, which is home to our top ranked media and design programs in the entire world. Some of our most famous alumni is from the school, and we offer over 22 professional programs. These programs include graphic communication management, where students have had assignments that involve working with Nestle in Canada on redesigning their holiday line of chocolate, or even performance production, where one of our students got to actually do an internship with Wicked on Broadway. We also offer a creative industry program, which is an umbrella program for all mass media programs, amongst many of the other programs that we offer. I will be sharing a list with you of all of our programs in the chat box once we're done. Now, one of the reasons we love being in the middle of the city is because we're surrounded by leaders in every single industry. We've got the fashion district, the financial district, we've got top legal firms, top architectural science and interior design firms. And this makes it so much more easier for our students to apply for co-op programs. Co-op is available to all, but not everyone does it. And I'm going to leave Heather to also tell us a bit about co-op in her presentation after this. Coming to what your life is going to look like on campus. So when it comes to your student life, we have a vibrant campus community made up of over 200 student clubs and organizations. We've got cultural clubs and athletic clubs, career development clubs, faith-based clubs, recreational clubs, residential clubs, to name a few. Also, not only are we top 10 Canadian Comprehensive University for student satisfaction, we're also ranked at number 2 in Canada for student services. And that's a great segue into the support that we offer you. So we've got over 4,200 international students on campus that are supported by the ISS. This includes everything from immigration advising, health insurance, work permits, and we also have a really active tri-mentoring program that includes mentoring programs like peer mentoring, where first-year students are matched with upper-year students in the same program or with similar interests that support their transition. We also have career mentoring, where students in their third year or above are matched with an industry professional for guidance. And we've got group mentoring, where there are community meetings for equity-deserving students on campus, including groups for students who are LGBTQ+, or students with disabilities, or women in STEM. What makes us stand out also is zone learning. What Toronto Met has is zones which allow for experiential learning. One thing that we're very big on is experiential learning. Over 95% of our programs have some experiential component, but coming to zone learning, zones are incubators or spaces where people come together to brainstorm, kickstart projects, build startups through workshops, boot camps, and mentorships. The best part is you as a student do not need to have it all figured out. You do not need to have a detailed business plan. It could just be a conversation in the first go. You also don't need to be a student of that particular faculty to be starting something. For example, a lot of students are in the misconception that they need to be students of entrepreneurship to start a business. But you could be a nursing student interested in a fashion venture. Here is where you get to level up your learning with 10 zones on campus, focusing on 10 different industries. We've got over 1,100 beds on campus in 3 residence buildings, and there are multiple room styles for students to choose from. Meal plans are mandatory, where students can choose between 5 and 7-day meal plans. And I'm going to quickly speak about a few costs to consider. So we'll be speaking about the tuition fees primarily over here: Faculty of Sciences, Faculty of Arts, Community Services, and the Creative School range from 29 to 32,000 Canadian dollars. Faculty of Engineering is $36,000 to $38,000, and Ted Rogers School of Management is $34,000 to $36,000. We also have our prestigious entrance awards. These are scholarships that students have to apply to separately, aside of their application for the program. And there are 2 different ways to apply. One is through the TMU international application, where students can apply for up to 3 programs, or the students can also apply through OUAC, which is the Ontario University's application center, which is ideal for students looking to apply to multiple universities in Ontario. A quick update on the deadline to apply. The deadline to apply is the 1st of February. We also have a reduced application fee of $30. This reduced application fee is for undergraduate programs only and can be availed from the 12th of December to the 1st of February. We also have an array of our English language pathway programs for those students who do not meet the minimum English language requirements. I know that I've not spoken about our requirements and our prerequisite subjects. That will be getting into detailed conversation, and I'm happy to do that. I will be dropping in my email ID for you to be able to connect with me. But but on the top of it, when it comes to English language, should you not meet the English language requirement, there are pathway programs that the student is eligible for depending on the IELTS or the Duolingo score they get. And these programs range from a total duration of 8 weeks to 32 weeks. Feel free to scan this to download our handbook. I will also be sharing a link with you in the chat box. And thank you for joining me. But here is where Heather takes us through the engineering programs.
Thank you so much, Deepa. I'm just going to share my screen here. Give me one moment. There we go. As everyone see Toronto Met, that's up on the screen. Wonderful. So as Deepa said, I am Heather Gardner. I'm one of the admissions officers with our engineering department. I've been at TMU for actually over 20 years, but 17 in the last, in terms of recruitment and admissions. I'm a very proud alumni of the School of Performance, specifically in the program that Deepa had mentioned. The Performance Production program is what I graduated from, which is a Bachelor of Fine Arts. And certainly the creative school is still one of my personal favorites on campus. So today I'm going to be talking to you about engineering at TMU. What is engineering? So I'm going to talk about our programs, our admissions requirements. I'll touch base on co-ops and internships, and also let you know how we support our engineering students on campus. If you have any questions, we will absolutely have time for that at the end of the presentation. So if you think on anything, just jot it down or pop it in the chat box, and we'll be happy to help you out after the presentation. So if you'd like to scan the QR code that's on the screen there, I'll also share the link at the end of the presentation, but this is for the engineering specific handbook. It goes through all the different programs, but also through that link, you can check out the upcoming events that we may be having. You can also schedule a one-on-one appointment with myself or one of my colleagues in the engineering admissions department. So if you have any questions, or if you've applied and you want to know a bit more about the application, you're welcome to set up a one-on-one appointment, and we would be happy to chat with you that way as well. So why Toronto Met Engineering? That's a great question. And the answer to that is our programs. They are professionally accredited, they are globally recognized. So what that means is all of our programs have the industry stamp of approval of accreditation from the Canadian Engineering Accreditation Board. So students are graduated from our program career ready, and they're able to get their licensing to become a professional engineer right from their undergraduate program. We are immersed in a world-class city. We like to say that we use the city as our classroom because Toronto offers so many opportunities for our students. There are many national and international headquarters right on the doorstep of campus. So certainly using the city as our classroom is a major bonus of our programs and our location on campus. We have an all-in approach to education, and what that means is that we want to support you as a student. We want to support you academically, but we're also there to support you as a whole, as a person throughout the program. So yes, you're coming to campus, you're doing classes, you're learning a lot, but also things that are happening outside of the classroom. So clubs and teams, supports from our first year engineering office, for example. So we're there to support you every step of the way. And then, as I mentioned, you're going to graduate career ready with that experiential learning opportunity. So whether it's through a lab or another tutorial or something on campus, or it could be an internship or a co-op, but you're going to have that graduate ready experience to hit the ground running as a professional engineer upon graduation of your degree. So at TMU Engineering, we have 9 different full-time programs, as well as a 10th option for undeclared, which is entry only. I'm going to touch base on all of these different programs, so let's get started. Aerospace engineering. Aerospace is one of the more popular programs, but also very unique programs. It's one of only 2 programs in the whole province of Ontario that is an accredited engineering in aerospace specifically. Within our program, you focus on 3 areas of interest: aircraft, anything that flies. So we're talking planes, drones, helicopters, for example. Spacecraft, anything that's leaving our atmosphere. So you could be talking space shuttles, the International Space Station, satellite technology. And then avionics. And avionics is really a blend of that aerospace meets electronics. So landing systems, navigation systems, anything where there's going to be circuits connecting to a hardware within aerospace, that's avionics. So within our program, you're going to be designing and analyzing, as I mentioned, aircraft or spacecraft, and learn in many different areas. You could be looking at structural design, control systems, avionic systems, propulsions, for example, aircraft performance. And our students really do get that hands-on learning. A group of our students just this past year were working on breaking a world record for the longest unmanned solar-powered aircraft. that was doing testing across the province. So that's students that were right in our undergraduate program, really trying to make their mark on the world in terms of breaking that record. I don't think they got quite there yet, but they're still working on it. But that's an example of some of the design right from our undergraduate program. Next up is our biomedical engineering program. Now, biomedical is where the healthcare system meets engineering. So we're talking medical imaging, biorobotics, human-computer interface. It's really cutting-edge technology where you're going to make a difference in someone's life. So using that technology in medicine to help people, to help humanity. So you're looking at things like biology, anatomy, and physiology, but how can you apply that to a human, essentially? So that could mean human-computer interaction, tissue engineering, for example, medical robotics. The picture that's up on the screen right now is actually a capstone project, which is kind of like a fourth-year final design team project, where this group of students were designing a skull drill with a very, very sensitive and tiny sensor on the very, very end of the drill bit that can aid in surgery where you're working around that brain matter and to ensure exactness and precision. Because when you're doing brain surgery, you have to make sure that you're not hitting things that you don't want to be hitting. So they were working on this skull drill, for example, as part of their fourth-year project, along with researchers at St. Michael's Hospital. Now, our chemical engineering program, you'll see that it says co-op beside it. And for this program, co-op is built in. So it's actually a 5-year undergraduate program if you're going into chemical engineering. And chemical engineering is where you're taking raw materials and transforming them into something. So you could be looking at air pollution control, food processing, wastewater treatment, for example. The possibilities are really endless when it comes to the chemical engineering program. Now, within chemical, as I said, you're using those materials and you're transforming them. Cosmetics formulations, for example, we had a student that was working on a new mascara formula and using her chemical engineering background to create not only the formula, but also the product in which it will be held. So the plastic and the polymer that's part of that mascara tube. I never thought chemical engineering meets makeup was not on my bingo card, but certainly that's something that you can explore, but also things that are, moving towards environmental focus. So things like environmental management, petrochemicals, process design for pollution control, waste management, water treatment. So again, you're using science, generally biology, physics, and chemistry, and working it to transform it into an everyday essential. Now, civil engineering, certainly one of the more traditional areas of engineering. And at TMU, we have structural, environmental, and transportation. So what that means for you is that you can be designing eco-friendly structures and safer communities. So you could be working with city planning, power and water supply, definitely project management when you're working with teams, whether it be at a city or in a national or even international government, waste treatment facility design, sustainable construction, and working to design the newest bridge or the newest building. It could be a new road design or a dam, but certainly these are the different types of construction elements that are applicable kind of anywhere in the world, and civil engineering will certainly lead you in that direction. Now, computer engineering, as Deepa mentioned, computer science is certainly popular. Computer engineering is right up there. It is an incredibly popular program. And within TMU at computer engineering, we have 3 focuses. You've got software, hardware, as well as firmware. So within this program, you do actually have the option after the second year to specialize specifically in software, if that's something that is of interest to you. So for the first 2 years, you'd be doing more of those general studies of that software, hardware, and firmware, but you do have that option to specialize specifically within software after the second year, or you continue on and you're really going to be designing the next digital phenomenon. So we're talking big data, communications, you could be working healthcare systems, artificial intelligence, intelligence, network security, social media, web mining. The possibilities are really endless when it comes to the computer engineering program. You'll see there one of our virtual reality research projects that one of our students were working on campus. So certainly that cutting edge technology that is very applicable to today's world. I always like to use Zoom as a great example. This certainly was not something that was available several years ago. And just since the pandemic has started, the leaps and bounds that have been made in terms of our digital communication. And that's certainly along the lines within the computer program. Now, electrical engineering actually is quite common to computer engineering. They actually share a common first 2 years of our program curriculum. So if you're interested in computer, you may also be interested in the electrical program. So artificial intelligence, those communication systems, robotics and control systems, as well as power systems and energy. So you're really shaping the world and using that technology to do it. As I mentioned, that AI component certainly becoming far more popular in terms of industry these days. But things like medical imaging, power generation, renewable energies, robotics, telecommunications. One of our students from this program actually went on to do graduate work and then has now landed a job with NASA. So the space agency down in the States, and specifically it was within cell phone technology and different radio waves. So that's an example of something from an electrical engineer that you can apply to a specific industry or area of interest. Now, the industrial engineering, industrial is really where business meets engineering. So we're talking management sciences, operations research, data science, for example, and facility design. And what this means is you'll be focusing and optimizing systems to design to be integrated with humans. So you're looking at equipment, specialized knowledge, whatever you do, no matter where you end up, you'll be making things faster, safer, and far more efficient. So within the industrial engineering program, it's really anything that combines people, machines, and materials and technologies. So for example, a self-checkout at a grocery store. You could be looking in the healthcare fields. You could be looking at product development or product planning. So if you have an interest in business and kind of project management side of things, along with engineering and that unique ability to create, the industrial engineering program would be a wonderful fit for you. Now, mechanical engineering, again, one of those very traditional areas of engineering that you hear of. Mechanical is actually one of the oldest programs in terms of our engineering programs at TMU. It's been around since the beginning. But the ultimate purpose of mechanical is really to improve lives. So you could be looking in terms of acoustics, automotive, biomechanical implants, healthcare and manufacturing, and sustainable energies. So within this, you might also choose to pursue graduate studies afterwards in mechanical or mechatronics engineering, and that undergraduate program will give you the foundation that you need to move on into those graduate level programs. But the mechanical program, certainly a very traditional area. You're able to really apply those ideas and designs that you may have, whether it be a new car design, it could be a new type of machinery for a specific industry, but mechanical will give you the skill sets required. Now, mechatronics engineering is brand new for this coming fall. So September 2023 is our first class for this program. It's actually been a part of TMU engineering for a number of years, but it was a specialization within the mechanical program. But it's such a popular area of engineering, and certainly the industry is really starting to pick up. So we've turned it into a standalone program. So the new mechatronics engineering program, you can focus on robotics, control theory, and microcontrollers. And mechatronics is really interdisciplinary. So you're taking the mechanical engineering foundations, and then you're also applying computer and electrical. A great example of this would be, for example, an autonomous vehicle. So a Tesla, for example, you've got that car design, you've got the materials and the structures that are required to make that car move and have the mechanical aspects, but there's also a brain inside that car now. So the circuitry, the computer, the electrical side of things all have to be designed as well. So mechatronics brings everything together and works to really modernize technology. So aeronautics, autonomous vehicles, chemical processing, medical devices, research and defense, for example, as well as a number of different computer, electronic, and automotive manufacturing capabilities. So mechatronics is that really cutting edge area, and we certainly recommend that if you're interested in mechanical, you may also want to check out the mechatronics program, because there is certainly a lot of overlap between those two areas of interest. Now, I mentioned off the top our undeclared program. So this is an entry option to our programs. So if you love engineering, you're just not sure which one is the best fit for you just yet, what you can do is apply to come in as an undeclared student. And in that first semester, everyone's taking the same courses. It's a common first semester. Specifically, you take a course called Introduction to Engineering. And in that course, you're going to take a deep dive into all the different disciplines that are available as part of our engineering programs. And then by December 1st in that semester, you then choose your major going forward. So there's no drawback whatsoever to apply as an undeclared student. It's as simple as filling out a form at the end of the semester to say, I want aerospace, I want mechatronics, and you would then move into that specific major. But if you love engineering, you're just not sure which one you want to focus on just yet, you are absolutely welcome to apply to that undeclared program and find the best fit for you. Now, I mentioned that common first semester. This is a first year at a glance. So this goes over all of their programs in that first year. So in the first semester, there's that intro to engineering that I was chatting about. And then you also have some of those core engineering courses. We're talking calculus, linear algebra, physics, chemistry. You also have a liberal studies elective, and a liberal study at TMU is really a humanities course. You could be taking a language course, but you could also look into political science, history, psychology, lots of options to choose from. And the whole point of liberal studies is to take something outside of your core engineering courses. We want well-rounded students, well-rounded individuals that have a broad background, and that liberal studies help to support that kind of general education base. And then in second semester, you have a few similar courses again. You've got the second part of calculus and another physics course. And then depending on which major you're going into, you would then have your additional courses based on your program major. So if you're going into industrial, you'll have industrial courses in that second semester. If you're going into the chemical program, you're going to have those courses right in the first year in the second semester. Now, the admissions requirements. Here's where it comes to what we need from you. So in India, there's several different areas that you can graduate from. As you know, there's the All India Senior School Certificate exam, Indian School Certificate, Higher Secondary School Certificate. One of these is the required credential that we would be looking for. And then specifically in your Standard 12, there is 4 prerequisite subjects that are required for our programs. So mathematics, physics, chemistry, and English, and a grade of at least 65% or higher in each of those courses. So we would look at your overall average from your credential, and then these 4 specific courses with at least a 65 or higher. As Deepa mentioned, in terms of our English proficiency requirements for our programs, if you are required to present proof of English proficiency, we'll be looking at an IELTS of a 6.5. That's an overall band score. We don't look at specific bands, so the overall of a 6.5 or higher. TOEFL is an 83, and for Duolingo, we'd be looking for 120. But you can find more information in regards to our English proficiency on our website. If you've been in a school either from the very beginning or in the last 4 years, that is an English language institute, in that you are learning your courses in the English language, you may be eligible for an exemption of these English language requirements. So certainly we would present that information to you as part of your application, but you can also learn a bit more about it on the website. Now, in terms of the application, whoops, did I just skip right through? I did too. There we go. Sorry. So when you're applying, we'll be looking for you to upload the 2 specific documents, 3 if they're available. So your results from your standard 10, results from your standard 11 if you have them, and then your interim or predicted or final if you're already done, your standard 12 results. So you can email this to us at the Engineering Admissions Department. Our email is there on the screen, and I'll be sharing it again at the end. But you can just send this information to us. You can also upload it through your applicant portal page, but we will require at minimum your standard 10 as well as your interim or predicted standard 12. And with those two documents, we can then make a decision on the application. So once you're done, or if you have a final result, you can also email us your admit card details, and then we can look it up and retrieve your official results from the state boards. So just keeping in mind that these are the documents that will be required as part of the application. Now, that experiential learning opportunity, co-ops and internships. In our engineering programs, all co-op placements are paid. The general average right now tends to be about $45,000 to $50,000 per co-op. So you can certainly help to fund your education while also getting that work experience. Now, co-op and internships will extend the degree to 5 years of completion. All of our programs are 4 years in length, or 5 years if you choose to do co-op. The way it works is the work terms begin after the third year of the program. So you would do 3 years of your academics. You would then take that after the third year, do 8 to 16 months of paid work experience, and then you would come back and finish your final academic year. Really, co-op and internships are a great opportunity to develop your communication, your teamwork, your leadership skills, but also building that professional network. The company that you're working with, you're investing your time in them, and they're investing in you. So you really get to learn about what it's like to be an engineer at a national or even a global headquarter, and really get a feel for what it's going to be like to be in this profession moving forward. Also certainly helps you to gain an edge in today's competitive job market. You'll have this on your resume, you'll have that experience, and that certainly is very attractive to employers when it comes to recent graduates. Now, the different top employers that we work with right now, this is a very small snapshot. We have some pretty heavy hitters in the industry. You'll see Bombardier Aerospace, Air Canada, Celestica, Honda, Bell Mobility, which is one of the largest telecommunication companies in Canada, IBM, Safran, the list just goes on and on and on. So as I said, this is a very small snapshot of the different co-op internships and placements that we work with. Now, your support's on campus. We have a dedicated office that is just for you as a first-year student. It's called the First Year Engineering Office. They offer academic advising, personal counseling. They have first-year student ambassadors that are all upper-year students. They've been there. They've been through the program. They're there to help you out. They run advising cafes, study halls. They help with exam preparation, for example. But they're also there to support you personally. So as I said, there are those counselors there. They run different workshops and events throughout the year to really support students. For example, last week on campus, there was therapy dogs just for the engineering students. So if you needed a break from exam prep, you could walk down the hall and hang out with some puppies for an hour. I also took advantage of it down the hallway because I get stressed out too. But lots of different events that are always happening, and that support is through the first year office. Being a team player is so important. So within the engineering faculty, there's over 50 different student groups. Literally, if you have an interest in something, you will find a group that will work for you. Also, the great thing about the different clubs and teams is that you don't have to go into something specifically within your area of interest. So if you're an aerospace engineer, but you're interested in Formula One racing, you have the option to join the Formula One race team and be working on that F1 car. So 15 different design teams, 6 different course unions, lots of things to get involved with as a student. So I know I talked about a lot. There's a lot of information there. If you have any questions after today, by all means, please feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information is there on the screen. The QR code takes you to our site. But also keep in mind your applicant portal, so the Choose TMU portal page. When you apply, you'll get access to this portal, and that will be your direct connection to your application. So the status of your application, you can check out what documents we've received, and any decisions that are made will be posted to that portal page. So I would encourage you to bookmark that page as well so you can stay up to date with your application. And with that, I will turn things back over to Deepa. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you very much. So, I mean, this presentation was so informative, And I think most of the questions were answered automatically with this kind of information that you have given. So other than that, if you have any questions, students, you can drop it in the chat box. And in continuation to Swati's question, Deepa, she just wants to know is chemistry SL acceptable in engineering?
Sorry, so chemistry as a prerequisite
Deepa, this
subject?
question is directed to Deepa, I guess.
Oh,
She had
my
a
apologies.
no, it's perfectly fine. Actually, she already asked a question to you in the chat box.
Yes, so could you just repeat that, please?
Swati, if you want to continue with the question.
I haven't.
Yeah, actually, yeah. So
Yeah.
Deepa, there was a question that is for engineering, is chemistry SL required or HL? Like, I just wanted to understand because there are many students who just come to us for opting for chemistry SL, and later on for engineering, they say that it's not a prerequisite.
I will read out that to Heather. Heather, would you be knowing if chemistry IBAISL is accepted?
It is. So for an IB student, what we'd be looking for is that English language, either at standard level or higher level, physics, standard level, higher level, math, application, and approaches. I was like, it's AA, either higher level or standard level, and then chemistry as well at either. We'd be looking for at least 3 standard level, 3 higher level, and a grade of at least 4 or higher in each of those subjects, and generally an overall score of at least 28 or higher in those IB programs.
Fine. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Heather. So there's one question from Abhishek. He says, do I apply directly through the university website for the undergraduate computer science? And in
Yes.
addition to that, is computer science degree part of engineering program?
So to the first question, yes, you can apply directly through the university website. You can also apply through UAC. Those are the 2 methods to apply. Also, is computer science degree part of the engineering program? So there are 2 programs. There is computer science, which is a BSc computer science program that we offer. That's a part of our Faculty of Sciences. And then there's our computer engineering program, which Heather spoke about, which has everything from software, firmware, and computer engineering, which has network security, social media analytics. So essentially, the difference would be in what your curriculum is in both of these.
So I hope, Abhishek, you have got your answer. So any other questions, students, please feel free to drop in your questions in the chat box. And I think, Deepa, you should drop in your email address and all the information, required information for the students, so that after this session, if they have any query, they can drop in a mail to you also. So I have one question, although it was already there in the in Heather's presentation. I just wanted to know how expensive is Toronto for the students going there from India? I mean,
So
in
in
terms of
that
living
overall,
expenses and everything, yeah.
yeah, so depending on if you live on campus and in one of the residences on campus, or if you're choosing to live off campus, it really can vary. Being right downtown certainly is more expensive than, for example, living in maybe a few kilometers away from the downtown core and then taking the public transit to campus. So really, you could be looking anywhere from $12,000, $15,000 for the year in terms of your expenses. Certainly, I would recommend kind of the higher end of that. Rental prices right now, kind of globally, as I'm sure you know, everything's going up with inflation right now. So certainly, budgeting in kind of the higher end of that scale in terms of your living expenses. We do also have, as I mentioned, that public transit. It's called the Toronto Transit Commission, or TTC. We do have discounts available for our students students who, if they're taking the TTC for their monthly passes, or there's also the provincial transit system, which is called Go Transit, and there is also student discounts available for Go Transit. So if students choose to live not necessarily on campus or that close to campus, but they want to commute either from a neighboring, neighboring community or just a little further out from campus, then we are certainly accessible by public transit as well. And I do that. I live about 45 minutes away from campus, and I take the subway downtown every day. So it's certainly very accessible, and it pops you out right literally at the heart of our campus. So taking public transit is definitely an option as well.
Yeah, thank you, Ada. So there's one question for Deepa also. I just saw the meal plan option in your presentation. It says 7-day or 5-day, but it was not mentioned that it will be a monthly based option or an annual based option for the students. If you can elaborate on that.
So this is typically for 8 months because they're
Okay.
looking at staying on campus for 8 months within our residences. And depending on the residence complex that they look at or the building that they look at, they have choices within the meal plans. I'm going to quickly drop in a
So
link.
is it a compulsory thing for the students to live on campus, if especially for the undergraduate ones?
No, so students are
it's-
not, it's not mandatory for students to live on campus. In fact, students have to apply to live on campus, but those who do end up living on campus have to take up our meal plans.
Okay, thank you, Deepa. So there's one question which says, do you provide scholarships for all the faculties and courses, or specifically this was for engineering?
No, so the scholarships that we spoke about today were entrance awards, and these are primarily to international students, regardless of which faculty they apply for. There are 2 different types of entrance awards. There is an International Student Merit Award, and there is your presidential scholarship that we provide. There are limited offerings within both these scholarships. So there are 7 recipients who can avail of the International Student Merit Scholarship, and there are 12 students who get the Presidential Scholarship. The minimum requirement for both of these academically is 85%, along with which they also need to have 2 references and an essay. So applications for these are separate, and the deadline for both of these scholarships is the 1st of February.
Okay, so there's one more question from my side only. So I'm very curious to know that apart from the co-ops option that you have in the university, what about the students who have completed their degrees and want to continue working in Canada? How the university supports them?
So we have each faculty has a different, just to elaborate a little more on co-op, each faculty has a different co-op services team that extends help to students. And as you know, all students who complete their undergraduate degrees from a public university get a 3-year postgraduate work permit. Just by the sheer fact of living, working, staying in downtown Toronto, we encourage students to opt for co-op because 50% of our students who do opt for co-op end up being absorbed by the companies before they even graduate. Having said that, 91% of our students overall, and this is not co-op related, gain employment within 6 months of graduating. We have an array of career fairs that we host on campus, and the student services team really helps students understand how to sift through the job bank, how to make their CV as per Canadian standards, how to apply for these jobs. So there's a lot of support from the universities and in helping students sort of map and path their journey into being successful in their endeavor to get work. But also, like I spoke about our career mentoring program, here is where 3rd-year students are actually, they get to be mentored by industry professionals who later guide them into being able to be career ready and go get that employment opportunity.
So there's one more question from Abhishek. He just wants to know, does co-op involve working within Ontario or outside Canada also? And are there any challenges for the international students for getting offers for these co-ops? Or is it the same for everyone there?
Would you like to take
The
this,
question,
Heather? I could take
yeah,
it
the
too.
question is there in the
Yeah.
chat box. Yeah.
So depending on the co-op, so we have a dedicated engineering co-op office. So their role is certainly to support our students in getting that co-op placement. So they're going to help right from the beginning. So they're going to help in terms of job placement, look to see what's available. If students are applying for a specific role, they might help them with, for example, their interview skills or bolstering that resume so that they can have a successful interview to get that position. Once they are in the co-op, that office is also there to support them. So if there's any challenges or anything that comes up, they're there to help out. In terms of where these co-ops and placements may be, it really depends. They could be in Toronto, they could be in Ontario, they could be somewhere else in Canada. There are sometimes international opportunity as well, but it just really depends on what the specific job is. And that's something that engineering co-op office would assist with if there was any inquiries about a really specific job somewhere that they had a co-op opportunity. You could work directly with that co-op office for that opportunity. But certainly they're there to support the students to get that, be successful in that job interview. And then once they're in that program as well. And just to touch base in terms of, after graduation and whatnot, that moment where we say, our program really prepares you to be career ready within engineering, as I said, fully accredited program. So it certainly helps in terms of that job search after graduation, because you're already going to be able to get that licensing to be a professional engineer and to sit for that licensing exam. So with our program being a professional program, that kind of loops right back into getting that job after graduation, and the supports are in place to do that. So and that's true across campus, regardless of which program you're going into. Those supports are in place to make sure that students are successful after graduation, but also on their way to graduation.
And to add to that, I think whether it is India or Canada, if you're on top of your game, you are in.
Yes, another thing I'd also like to quickly address is, will there be any challenges in getting offers being an international student? I'm assuming this is about co-op because it does extend to co-op. We do have a minimum requirements. So students need to maintain anywhere between 2.75 to a 2.9 GPA to be able to apply for that co-op. The reason being, when we're sending our students out for co-op, you of course have to put your best foot forward and make sure, like Almaz said, that you're at the top of your game. And so you need to meet the minimum requirement to be able to apply for co-op. And even though co-op is available for everyone, not everyone chooses to do it, because you have to remember that there's an added time component to it. Should you choose to do co-op, your 4-year degree is likely to increase to 5 years, and not everyone is willing to sort of give in that time commitment. So even though we thoroughly recommend co-op for the opportunities it brings you, not everyone does it, and it entirely depends on you and your academic rigor as to whether or not it'll be challenging or no.
Thank you, Deepa. Thank you very much. I think this was it. Thank you, Heather, for joining us and for a lovely session and very informative presentation for the students here. Thank you, Deepa, for taking your time out, and all the students and I think we had a few of the counselors also who joined us after a very long day at the schools. Thank you very much. And I hope to see you soon, Deepa.
Thank you, Almaz, and
Yeah,
thank you
thank
so
you,
much,
thank you.
Heather.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Greatly appreciated. And I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, same to you. Bye-bye for now.